Now, we know that the social media platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Google, Facebook, and the rest, we know that they shadow ban. Certain information they don't want you to see, they hide. And we talked about this in the last report. We see Representative Matt Gaetz filed a Federal Election Commission complaint against Twitter following the revelations the social network giant shadowed his account. And we see at this point that it was being done on purpose. Even Twitter admitted that they're no longer doing this, which shows that they were doing this. And we know that Facebook and the rest, they all do this. And they do it to the alternative media where they hide certain numbers. Actually, I think Mark Dice was out there showing that his video had 1.6 million views, and other videos with the same exact type of title, they had like 26, 30,000, 40,000 views on YouTube. And his video was pushed back maybe 4 or 5 pages. So we see already that all these social platforms do this, and I believe this is why Q is out there saying that we need the Internet Bill of Rights to even out the playing field, because we could see that most of these social media sites, they're controlled by the intelligence agencies, and we know they want to control a certain narrative. This is why this is all being done, because they want to control the narrative of what is going on. And they want you to think a certain way, and they don't want the other information out there, and they don't want you doing critical thinking and saying, hey, let me do a little research, let me see what's going on. They don't want any of this whatsoever. We see Trump is demanding that Turkey release the imprisoned American pastor, and most of the mainstream media is not even picking this up. And what we're seeing here is Trump is threatening Turkey with large sanctions. And we did mention this in the last report. Q did mention this. And 2 years ago, the American pastor was charged with espionage in relation to a botched military coup. And it seems like this is a very big story, but the major networks aren't really picking this up. And we see right now that this is what Q has been talking about, where Trump, the Patriots, they're trying to get this individual back. Now, we've been talking about Afghanistan for a long time. We know that our forces, the U.S. forces, have been in Afghanistan for many, many years. And this was all done during 9/11. This was all fake, phony, and false. It was a false flag that brought our troops into Afghanistan, into the Middle East. And right now, just like what's happening in Syria, what's happening out in many other parts of the world, there is peace going on. And I know it's very hard to believe, but right now, the U.S. is in negotiations with Afghanistan leaders and the Taliban. We know that Ghani has been extending an olive branch to the Taliban. And it looks like the United States proposed a conditional withdrawal, and right now, Afghanistan is saying it's not acceptable, and they want the U.S. completely out of Afghanistan, and they want to handle their own affairs. So we'll have to see how this goes, but I think the push right now is to get the troops out of there, to push peace, go after the Islamic State, just like the U.S. was going after the Islamic State in Syria. Remember, these are the paid mercenary forces of the deep state, and these are not real terrorists. They're controlled army of the deep state, and right now the Patriots are actually going after these individuals. Now, remember, during Obama's reign, he was instructing the U.S. forces where to bomb to allow the Islamic State to widen the field and gain more ground in Syria to eventually go after Assad and take him out. That was the whole purpose. Once Trump came in and removed the control from the presidency and gave it back to the Pentagon, all of a sudden we saw the Islamic State start to dwindle in certain areas where the U.S. was. Now remember, Russia was already doing this, and with both forces doing it at the same time, it was pretty much game over for the Islamic State. Now, we see there are reports out there that the U.S. is planning a bombing run of Iran, or an invasion of Iran. And this is coming out of the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, which reported that the U.S. is preparing to bomb Iran's nuclear facilities and maybe even invade Iran. Now, Mattis is out there saying, no, this is not true. This is fiction. There are no plans being drawn up. And of course, this is coming from an anonymous site. And we need to understand that we are seeing the same thing happen that we saw in North Korea. Think back when the reports were coming out, when McMaster's was there, that we have this 100,000, troop plan to go into North Korea. This is how many people we're going to lose. We're already getting ready. We have the bombers ready to go, and we're going into North Korea. That all turned out to be fake, phony, and false, because behind the scenes, what was happening? Peace. The same thing is happening right now. Trump already put out there that he is ready to deal with Iran, and he's waiting for a phone call from Iran. Now, something has definitely changed in Iran, and this is why Trump is saying that. He actually did this with North Korea. He's ready to speak to Kim Jong-un. Something changed in North Korea, and behind the scenes, they're routing out the deep state to allow something new to happen. Peace, a new deal, and that's how all this is working right now. So we can see that everything that Q has been talking about, it seems like we're moving in that direction. We see out in Damascus, we see the Syrian armed forces and the government there. They are now in negotiations with the Syrian Democratic Forces. This is the Syrian Democratic Forces, which is the moderate rebels, and they are talking about peace right now and actually working together. Of course, the Syrian Democratic Forces don't have the deep state behind them anymore because things are changing rapidly in Syria, and this war in Syria is coming to an end. And why are the U.S. troops there? Why are the coalition forces there? Well, there's no reason for them to be there. And before you know it, all the military forces in Syria, they're going to be coming out of Syria right now because there's no reason for them to be there. The Islamic State is beaten, and there's no excuse, no other excuses they can use to stay in there. Now, we know the deep state, they and the clowns, let's call them the clowns. That's what Q calls them. The clowns, they will never give up. They'll push an event of all events just to try to stay in power, to keep control. And we're getting this story. And again, in what way can they try to keep control and cause chaos in the U.S.? Well, we've been talking about this for a very long time, and this is a cyber attack. Now, the U.S. intelligence community has issued a warning about cyber espionage risks posed by attacks made via the technology supply chain. And they're saying that these attacks most likely will come from China, Russia, or Iran, where they're saying that these are the most capable and active states involved in such economic subterfuge. And they're saying we might have a major problem here. Now, the key threat, they said, is the concern that the attackers are looking for new ways to exploit computer networks via the privileged access given to technology providers. Software supply chain infiltration is one of the key threats that corporations need to pay attention to, particularly how software vulnerabilities are exploited. Why can you exploit these different pieces of software or hardware? Because the intelligence agencies, they created these back doors so they can spy on individuals, and it makes it easy to access. Now, the real question is, why are they going to be going after the supply chain? Because this will cause economic chaos. And of course, they already named the three countries, China, Russia, and Iran. So it looks like they're building this narrative to tell us and project out into the future that if this does happen, you know who to blame. Now, again, they're trying everything they possibly can to control the situation. And if they lose control, and if they see that they're losing the battle here and they're coming after them, guess what's going to happen? They're going to create the event of all events. It's going to be 10 times worse than 9/11. And the way to do this is to have economic chaos. Because if you have economic chaos and people aren't making a living and credit is frozen and people can't get supplies at supermarkets and whatnot, guess what? They will be able to take control of the situation. At least this is what they think they'll be able to do. And actually they'll be able to blame this on Trump because they're going to say he let this happen. So we can see that they're going to try to do everything they possibly can to create this chaos. Now, of course, the Patriots, they're going to try to intercept this and stop all of this. But we already see the news stories coming out about this, and they're already projecting out there what they're going to do. Now, Q has dropped a lot of breadcrumbs here, a lot of posts. So we're going to go through some of these today, and we'll go through the rest during the week. But let's start off with post 1711. Now, Q put up a link, and this is Robert Mueller Unmasked, and it's a PDF. And Q went on to say, what was the point of filing an impeachment art if Ryan was going to reject? Known beforehand. Optics. Think logically. Could Sessions publicly challenge Rod Rosenstein without creating a dilemma? What events would immediately transpire if Sessions challenged Rod Rosenstein? Would it immediately demonstrate that Sessions must be aware of key Mueller facts or failure of duty that he cannot possibly know if recused? Facts, a case he is supposed to be recused from? Think logically. One challenge to Rod Rosenstein would immediately trigger attacks to remove Sessions given his clear involvement in receiving information, re. a case he is fully recused from. Who does Huber directly report to? Sessions. Is it normal Rod Rosenstein is sidestepped? re. Huber. Chain of command. Why is this important? Why did Sessions recuse? Is the left attacking Sessions? What advantage exists based on this setup? No, the left isn't attacking Sessions whatsoever. POTUS publicly expresses his anger, re. his recusal. Do you believe POTUS would allow a complete takeover of his Department of Justice if nothing was being done behind the scenes to hold people accountable? When POTUS states it's happening, do you believe it? Do you believe POTUS would allow Sessions and Rod Rosenstein to run his Department of Justice if something wasn't being done to his liking? Logical thinking, all caps. Clickbait derails logical thought. Think for yourself. Trust yourself. Mueller investigating POTUS tweets for obstruction. You have a front row seat. Enjoy the show. Q. Now we're going to move on to post 1712. And there's a picture, and it looks like it's a cell phone, and it looks like a woman is holding it and says, "Stand down." And under it says, "You think this is some sort of game. Do you understand that you are messing with people's livelihoods here? These are real people's lives we're talking about. This is wrong on so many levels. You all think you're so big and tough hiding behind a screen. You're worthless, redneck, racist, inbred pieces of shit. You have no idea who and what you're going up against. Let me make something resoundingly clear to the cesspool and its inhabitants. You're not all as anonymous as you think you are. Far from it. What you're doing is tantamount to terrorism, and trust me, there will be serious repercussions. That's all I have to say. Now Q says, put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature, sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, and greed, which is idolatry. 6, because of these, the wrath of God is coming. Your evil has no place in the world. Q. We're going to be moving on to post 1713. Anonymous, proven shop. The author of the post, the face is never the author. Direct comms come in many different forms. Q. Post 1714. Anonymous, I suspect this from the beginning. Shops don't mean the post itself isn't real. How do you hide a message in clear sight? Q. Post 1715. Anonymous. Q. How do you hide a message in clear sight? You'd be amazed how much is shared on poll, which is /POL/data exchange. Now, then Q gives a link to the guardianproject.info. Now, if we look at this, it's hide messages. And what is PixelKnot? PixelKnot is an Android application that allows users to hide short text-based messages in photographs and share them across trusted channels. Have a secret that you want to share? Why not hide it in a picture with PixelKnot? Only your friends with the secret password can unlock your special message. Everyone else sees a pretty picture. So basically what Q is saying is that these individuals, when they're screaming and yelling at Q and holding up these phones with pictures and things like that, or just putting pictures up, there might be messages, and they're hiding a message in clear sight, saying this is happening all the time. Q went on to post 1716 and put up a link to the Wall Street Journal that says, thank you, Jeff Sessions. And of course, thanking him for all the work he's doing behind the scenes. Post 1717 put up another link. The Hill, National Security. Meadows swaps Rosenstein impeachment efforts for contempt. Q says, do you understand what is happening? Think optics. Now, what this means is Rod Rosenstein has to remain in place for optics. He is basically neutralized and cannot do anything. Real power is with Sessions and Huber, but they need to keep Rod Rosenstein in place to make everyone believe that this is what's happening. And I talked about how the deep state, the clowns, they will push an event bigger than we've ever seen. Already they're projecting that they're going to hit the supply chain with a cyber attack and bring down the entire economic system to cause chaos. I mean, that's what they're trying to do here. Post 1718. Q put up 100% regulated. Some platforms will collapse under own weight of illegal activities. Now, this was back in March 9th, 2018. Q also put track inside sales. They know, watch the sell-off liquidity events. Q went on to say, Facebook investor want to strip Zuckerberg of chairman title. Shareholder wants to oust Zuckerberg as Facebook chairman. Facebook shareholders try to fire Mark Zuckerberg as chairman. DC moves slow with kill brackets. So let's move on to post 1719 here, July 27th. Twitter near 20% slide. Facebook near 20% slide. All because of missed earnings. What does the street know? Insiders dumping. DC moves slow in brackets. And at Jack, Mark Zuckerberg's, your hands are dirty. So the flow of government money has been cut off. Amazon was smart about it by selling the CIA server power. They have a cover. Twitter and Facebook, they just filed it under user growth. Now that flow of illicit taxpayer money is gone, so they have to report the user growth is declining because they have to disguise the fact that they are no longer getting the funds from the government, the intelligence agencies. And there's that Killbucks marker again. DC moves slow. Sounds like unstoppable impending doom to these social media companies. Moving on to post 1720, July 27th, it shows us a picture of individuals walking on the street. When does a bird sing? So basically we're looking at this and we're looking at the picture saying who are these individuals? Move on to post 1721. Q put up the same exact picture, but below it shows Lisa Page. Shows a close-up of those individuals, and it is Lisa Page. And Q says, keep your promise. This is not a game. When does a bird sing? Lisa Page was supposed to sing, and she's trying to weasel her way out of this. She's agreed to play ball, and it sounds like she's trying to delay or wiggle her way completely out of this. Post 1722. Q put up the same picture of Lisa Page with that close-up image of Lisa Page with, keep your promise, this is not a game. Underneath, it says Public Awareness Forces Hand, Q. So it looks like Lisa Page is going along with what she promised to do here. Post 1723. Q put up Public Awareness Forces Hand, Q. And under that says Peter Strzok, Round 2, open bracket, lead investigator, Hillary Rodham Clinton, /Russia, close bracket, Q. Post 1724, July 27th, Q put the same thing up, Peter Strzok, Round 2. Under it, there's a picture with the street once again from the previous post. Warning to UK. Decipher RE last redacted FISA. And basically what this is saying here is not a warning to the UK, but one of our guys on the ground in the UK, someone who is investigating Clinton and Russia. So the question is, who would have been there at the time? And Annan came up with a theory. My guess is Gina Haspel is a white hat, or Trump would not have chosen Haspel. Obviously, Haspel is the unnamed woman who was working or there in London, the CIA headquarters. So she knows or has this evidence and all the players involved, which means she also knows why LS was walking around London in the CCTV pic. Better yet, Lisa Page may be talking to Haspel only now to know whose side Haspel is on. Post 1725, showing that same picture in the UK with Lisa Page. Below it, there's a QAnon sticker slapped on a utility box somewhere. No location was given, no context, no follow-up. Wouldn't be surprised if there's maybe a hidden message or image in this, just like Q was talking about, where you can pass messages back and forth. Maybe, but we don't have the password, so we won't know. Post 1726, Q put up the following. Peter Strzok, text taken out of context. Peter Strzok, while emotional over the election, I conduct myself with utmost integrity, without bias, while undertaking any such investigation, especially high-profile case against the POTUS. Peter Strzok, in hindsight, it was a bad idea to openly discuss my feelings, but in no way did the feelings impact my ability to conduct a fair and proper investigation. Now, we've gone through this once before, and Q just at the bottom says the following. Mr. S., I believe nobody here is buying what you are selling. I believe there is a serious effort on the part of the people more senior than you to remove Mr. Trump from office out of fear of what this administration may uncover. I believe you are being dishonest in your answer and frankly shocked you agreed to come here today. I believe everyone on the panel, minus those from the other side of the aisle, knew exactly what your answers would be, and if you think we are going to sit here and accept these answers, you'd be a fool. You'd be foolish. We are also following the facts, and once we uncover more, we will act accordingly. I'm glad you retained counsel. You'll need one, and hopefully they are very good. Q. Strzok probably thought he was going to get away with it, that they wouldn't call him back to testify again, or that his testimony would come back to haunt him. Post 1727. Anonymous. Gina Haspel. The CIA London station is the main center of the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency in the UK. Station Chief, unnamed woman, c. 2009. Those ordered to testify include the former CIA chief, Porter J. Gross. Another is a woman who is not publicly named, who heads the agency's London station. She previously worked as the chief of staff for the head of the CIA's clandestine branch. Jose Rodriguez, who is the focus of the investigation, then put up the link to TheGuardian.com, CIA, Al-Qaeda, Guantanamo interrogation. So what we see from this is that Gina Haspel was stationed over at the CIA base in the UK. That warning message was for her. So basically, that's what's been happening. Haspel is out there, and Q is sending a warning message to Haspel. Post 1728, July 27th, 2018, puts up the following picture of that missile being fired near Hawaii. And we've seen this before. It was the unauthorized missile fired. Unauthorized emergency incoming missile threat activated Hawaii. And Q is saying that the mainstream media is the biggest threat to the American people. The missile was shot off. There was no investigation by the mainstream media. Basically, it was just dropped. It was memory hold and never talked about again. Post 1729, Q says, where did the missile go? Blown up in the sky? Q says, F-16s intercept Q. Now, here's where things get really good. 1730, July 27th. Repeats, an F-16 can shoot a missile out of the air. Specialized weapons package, Class-5, Q. Now, an F-16 with the weapons that we know of can't shoot down a missile. Q is telling us that they had a classified weapon system aboard the F-16 that has the ability to shoot down a missile. So F-16s do have a way to take down these missiles that we don't know, what previously we didn't know about. So Q is confirming that there was something on this F-16 which allowed it to take down the missile. Post 1731. Anonymous. Who has the authority to launch a missile? Q said unauthorized. Given the chain of command process to launch, what does this tell you? Classified removal Washington minutes after. Q. It means the missiles were ordered by someone in Washington, someone who's got security clearance. Very interesting. So someone else who has the ability to do this allowed it to happen, or ordered it to happen. Post 1732. Facebook is listening to you 24/7, 365. Literally. F9 algorithm. Are they recording safe housing, metadata collection, building 8, DARPA, China, 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 with kill brackets? Under that, Q says, who recently pulled out of Facebook? Artificial support. What events recently occurred in China? Well, Q put up a link. New York Times. China suddenly reversed course on Facebook, saying that they're no longer interested in this venture. Why did China suddenly reverse their course? The more you know. China pulled out, and Mark Zuckerberg was planning to run to China and escape. He was selling stocks for months. He knew what was going on, and he was stopped. So this is very interesting. And to make matters even better, it looks like the SEC might get involved now, and they might look into what Zuckerberg has been doing. We've been talking about this before, that the SEC was investigating Facebook. Post 1733, July 27th. There's a picture in this post, and it's from The Hill. Trump ducks media, cites bad weather despite clear skies as he leaves for Iowa. Very interesting. Under that, it says, a message that nobody but who understands? Q. Well, it would be autists. They understand what this means. It means the storm is raging, even though to everyone else the skies are clear. The storm is raging right now. And this is why Trump is saying bad weather. It was a message. Post 1734, July 27th. There is nothing more precious than our children. Evil has no boundaries. Slayer, evil has no boundaries. Lyrics. That's the link that Q gave. So let's look at what this is all about. These Slayer lyrics. Blasting our way through the boundaries of hell. No one can stop us tonight. We take on the world with hatred inside. Mayhem, the reason we fight. Surviving the slaughters and killing we've lost. Then we return from the dead, attacking once more now with twice as much strength. We conquer, then move on ahead. And then it goes on with the chorus. Evil, my words defy. Evil has no disguise. Evil will take your soul. Evil, my wrath unfolds. And the song continues on and on with this. So this is telling us that we're going to overcome this evil. And Q went on to say the choice to know will ultimately be yours. These people are sick. And then Q gave a link to another individual that was accused of sexual misconduct. To those who are courageous enough to speak out, we stand with you. You're not alone in this fight. God bless. Q. Then we move on to post 1735. There's a picture, and it's the DCA Ronald Reagan National Airport, it looks like. And under it, it says, what are the odds? Now, very interestingly, who was in this airport at the same exact time? Well, Robert Mueller and Donald Trump Jr. both waiting for their flights this morning at the 35X gate at DCA. And yes, there is a photo. So both of them were there at the same exact time. So that's very interesting. And then we went on to post 1736 device test Q, 1737 device test E, 1738 device test X, 1739 device test C. And it looks like their Q is testing this. The boards have been heavily shilled all day. The cabal's robots don't like whatever Q is posting and are attempting to stop him. Stay safe, Q, basically, because it looks like all of this is under attack. And Q right now signaled 3 letters in the last 4 drop, EXC. And if you put those together, you get EXC, or Exelon Corp. And very interestingly, the Exelon Corp, it's tied to Rosatom. and most likely tied to Uranium One. And it also helped bankroll Obama's presidential run and are based in Chicago. I mean, this is really, really interesting. So basically what Q has done has given us these three letters, leading us in this direction that this corporation has to do with Rosatom, that has to do with Obama and Uranium One. So things are moving forward here, and we're seeing that the deep state, they are lashing out, as we can see from that previous post with, stand down. That was kind of a warning. Back a couple months ago, the missile shot from Hawaii was another warning. And I do believe this message of cyber attacks hitting the supply chain is another warning, which we're going to learn about very, very soon from Q. And we see that all of this is happening right now because everything is happening behind the scenes. Q has been saying that there are certain things that need to be done in a certain way. And believe me, I feel it too. It's taking a very long time, but I see why it has to be done this way, because these individuals are evil. They don't care about the people. They would destroy the people if they had to go that far. I mean, look what happened in 9/11. They took down 2 buildings, well, more than 2 buildings, and hurt a lot of people. So you can see right now that things are moving in the right direction, and they're going to accelerate because all the pieces are coming together. And the deep state wouldn't lash out and troll this board and try to hit it and put these messages up there. They wouldn't do all of this if they didn't care, if they didn't think anything was happening or they were getting close. But they understand all of this is getting close. They understand what's happening. They know what Q is. This is why the mainstream media is out there pushing that Q is a conspiracy, because they know that the walls are closing in on them, and they're closing in faster and faster. And this is why we hear all these other messages and things going on right now, and they're trying anything they possibly can to stop this. So we can see we're moving in that direction.